It's crazy how fast everything can change in a single moment. One minute, you're celebrating your anniversary, feeling like the luckiest guy alive, thinking about candlelight, that faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air, the soft glow of the hotel lamp casting long shadows on the wall. We'd planned this trip for months, a little getaway to reconnect, to remind ourselves why we married in the first place. But all that peace, that normalcy, shattered in a heartbeat. I had just come back from the shower, towel around my waist, when I saw her sitting on the bed staring at her phone. The room was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner and the faint crackle of the TV in the background. She looked up as I stepped out, her face suddenly tight like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't. "Hey," I said, trying to keep it light. "What's up?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she quickly shoved her phone into her bag, her hands trembling slightly. That small gesture, a woman hiding her phone, should have been my first clue, but I was still in the fog of the anniversary glow. Still, the way her eyes flicked away from mine, avoiding my gaze, set something off inside me. "Nothing," she finally mumbled, "just checking messages." I nodded, but my gut told me otherwise. The room felt too still, too tense. My mind raced through all the little red flags I'd brushed aside before, her sudden late nights, the strange number she'd kept secret, the way she'd always seemed a little more distant lately. Still, I told myself I was paranoid. I loved her. She loved me. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept turning over her actions, her words, trying to find the thread I'd missed. Then I remembered the phone, how she'd hurriedly hide it, her fingers trembling when she thought I wasn't looking. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something she wasn't telling me, some secret she was desperately trying to conceal. It was only the next morning, after a restless sleep, that I decided to check her phone. I told myself I'd only peek, just to see if there was anything I needed to know. And what I found changed everything. There was a string of messages, filled with flirtatious emojis and intimate innuendos. Her words were casual, like she was talking to a close friend, but the tone was suggestive enough to make my stomach turn. The last message was what hit me hardest. "Can't wait to see you tonight. I've missed you so much." That was when I saw the picture. A photo of her lying in bed, her face flushed, her lips slightly parted. But what made my blood run cold wasn't the message or the picture. No, it was the small tuft of hair visible near her shoulder. A hair that wasn't mine. The evidence was unmistakable. She'd been lying about her pregnancy, lying about everything. I felt my stomach drop, a heavy weight pressing down on my chest. The air in the room seemed to thin out. My hands went clammy, and for a moment I was just frozen, staring at the screen. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I couldn't do it then. I needed a plan. I needed to be smart, because I wasn't just betrayed. I was angry, furious, and I wanted revenge. Not in some reckless, destructive way. I wanted her to understand that she'd crossed a line, that she couldn't keep using me like some fool. That's when I started plotting. I would catch her in the act, expose her lies, and then I'd make her regret ever messing with me. I'd make her see that her betrayal wasn't just a mistake, it was a choice, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. But first I had to see how far she was willing to go, how deep her lies ran, what exactly I was dealing with. And I was already certain of one thing: I wasn't going to stay silent. Not anymore. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became that this wasn't just some one-time slip-up. No, this was her pattern, hidden behind a mask of innocence, while she was sneaking around, fabricating stories, lying about her pregnancy, and probably a lot more I hadn't uncovered yet. I kept replaying everything I'd seen on her phone, trying to piece together how long she'd been lying, how deep her deception went. The fact that she'd been so calculated, so secretive, made my blood boil. I needed to get ahead of her. I couldn't let her keep pulling the wool over my eyes any longer. But I also knew I had to be careful. Confronting her outright without a plan would only make things worse. She was clever. She'd probably deny everything, spin some story that made me look crazy. I needed proof, undeniable proof, and I needed to catch her in the act. It was early morning when I decided to set my trap. I knew her habits well enough. She liked her coffee in the mornings, usually on the balcony overlooking the water. That was my chance. I wouldn't tip her off. I'd just wait, hidden behind the curtains, and see what she did when she thought she was alone. I remember holding my breath as she got up, her feet padding softly on the carpet. She reached for her phone, then paused, looking around like she was checking to see if anyone was watching. That small hesitation told me all I needed to know. She was planning something. And that was when I saw her slip her phone into her purse, the same way she'd done yesterday. My palms were sweaty. My stomach clenched. I felt like I was about to burst. I made sure I had my phone ready, just in case I needed to record or document. Then she moved toward the door, but not before she glanced back at the bed, as if making sure no one was there. Her eyes darted to the window, then to the door. She was on high alert, hiding something. I waited until she was out of sight, then quietly followed her into the hallway. She headed toward the hotel's common area, her steps quick and purposeful. I stayed behind, just enough to keep her in sight but out of her line of vision. When she reached the lobby, I noticed her meeting someone. A man. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a crooked smile that didn't reach his eyes. I recognized him from the messages, her supposed friend. The one she'd been texting. They exchanged quick words and she handed him her purse casually. That's when I saw her pull out a small, folded piece of paper. She slipped it into his hand, then turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the tile floor. The way she was acting, like they were exchanging secret messages, told me everything I needed to know. I stayed hidden behind a pillar watching her go. My stomach twisted, but I stayed calm. I needed to see how far she was willing to go. That piece of paper could have been a key part of her plan, a note, a coded message, a sign of her next move. Whatever it was, I was going to find out. That evening, I returned to the room. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. I knew she'd be back, probably expecting to keep everything under wraps. I had already prepared my next move, my own secret plan to catch her in the act, to make her regret every lie she'd told. When she finally stepped through the door, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, pretending to be absorbed in my phone. She froze for a second when she saw me, then tried to act casual, slipping her purse behind her back. "Hey," she said, voice a little too cheerful. "You look tense. Everything okay?" I looked up, my eyes steady and cold. "Actually, no, I've been thinking a lot about everything." Her brow furrowed. "Like what?" "I know about the messages, about the guy. About the fake pregnancy," I said bluntly. Her face went pale for a second, then she tried to smile, but it was weak. "That's not what it looks like," she whispered. "Oh, I think it is," I shot back. "And I have proof. I've been watching you, following your moves. That note you slipped to him, I saw everything." Her hands clenched into fists. "You don't understand. Save it," I cut her off. "I've had enough. I know you've been lying for months. I want to know if you're ready for me to really find out what you've been hiding." She looked like she was about to cry, but I didn't care. I had reached my limit. There was no turning back now. I had the evidence, the plan, and the resolve to do what needed to be done. This was about respect, hers and mine, and I wasn't going to let her keep playing these games. Tomorrow I was going to confront her in front of everyone, expose her for the liar she'd become. And she'd regret the day she ever crossed me. I could feel the adrenaline pounding in my veins, promising that this was just the beginning. The next morning was the turning point. I could feel it in my bones. I woke up early, the sun just barely cresting over the horizon, casting a dull orange glow through the curtains. My stomach was churning, not from nerves but from pure rage. Every fiber in my body was telling me to end this chaos right now, to drag her out and confront her in front of everyone at the hotel lobby. But I knew better. Patience was my weapon. This wasn't about losing control. It was about making her pay for every lie she'd spun. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the door, listening for the slightest sound of her footsteps. When she finally emerged, her face was pale but determined. She avoided eye contact, so I made sure to keep my expression cold, unreadable. "Good morning," I said, voice steady but with a sharp edge beneath it. "We need to talk, somewhere private." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, fine." I led her to the balcony, away from the few other guests still in the lobby. The cool morning air hit me like a splash of ice water, but I ignored it. I needed her to feel the weight of the moment. No more hiding behind fake smiles. No more deception. This was the moment she'd regret, whether she liked it or not. "Look," I started, voice tight, "I've seen enough. I've seen your messages, your secret meetings, the fake pregnancy. I know about the guy you've been cheating on me with. I know everything." Her eyes flicked away again, but this time I saw the flicker of guilt. That was good. I wanted her to feel it. Don't play innocent now, I snapped. You lied about everything. You lied about being pregnant, about being faithful, about loving me. How long have you been doing this? She swallowed hard, her hands trembling. It's not what you think. Save it. I cut her off harshly. I don't want to hear your excuses. She looked down, tears welling up, but I pressed on. You're going to tell me the truth now, and I want every detail. Who is he? How long have you been seeing him? And what's this damn note you slipped him yesterday? Her shoulders trembled, but she finally looked up, eyes glistening. It wasn't supposed to happen. I got caught up. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I clenched my fists, feeling my nails dig into my palms. You got caught up. Is that what you're saying? You think I'm stupid? I saw the damn picture, you in bed lying to me, cheating. How long have you been lying about everything? She broke down then, sobbing loudly, clutching her stomach as if in pain. It was a mistake. I was lonely and he was there. I thought I loved him. You thought. I cut her off again, voice rising. You lied to my face about this pregnancy, about everything. For how long? Did you even care about me at all? Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. I was scared and I was stupid. I thought I could fix this, but I can't. I don't know who I am anymore. That hit hard. I felt a cold wind cut through my chest like a dagger. Her tears, her trembling voice, she was broken, but I was beyond caring at this point. The betrayal had cut too deep. I wasn't going to be some fool anymore. Listen, I said, voice steady but cold. You've lied enough. I've got everything. I need the proof, the messages, the photos. It's over. I want my stuff back. I want you out of my life, and I want you gone before I lose what's left of my sanity. Her eyes looked empty, lost in a sea of tears and regret. Please don't do this. I'll fix it. I'll make it right. I shook my head. You've already made your choice. I'm done trusting you. You had your chance, but I'm not sticking around for the fallout. I turned to walk away, feeling like I'd finally taken control of a situation I'd let spiral out of control for too long. Just as I stepped toward the door, she called out one last time. You'll regret this. I didn't respond. Instead, I grabbed my phone, taking one last look at her crying in the cold morning light. I knew I was about to execute my plan. She'd see what betrayal truly looked like, and I'd make sure she understood the price of crossing me. As I walked out, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I'd never felt so alive, so done. It was time to close this chapter once and for all. The hotel room was empty when I went back inside, but I didn't care. Everything had shifted. The last pieces of her story had fallen apart, and I was ready to burn the rest down. I needed to act fast, get my stuff, get out, and make her understand that her lies had consequences she wouldn't like. I moved quickly, grabbing my bag, stuffing a few essentials into it. My fingers trembled slightly, not from fear but from the adrenaline surging through me. This was the moment I'd been planning for. I hesitated for a second, looking around the room, trying to catch one last glimpse of the woman I thought I knew. She was gone now, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Someone who'd betrayed everything we'd built. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, then headed toward the door. Before I left, I grabbed the small envelope I'd hidden in my pocket, the note she'd slipped to her friend yesterday. My plan was simple but ruthless. I was going to leave it in plain sight at the hotel lobby, right where everyone could see. Let her own words be her undoing. I'd make her regret ever crossing me, and I'd do it in a way she'd never forget. Walking into the lobby, the air smelled like stale coffee and faint perfume. The usual chatter of tourists, the clatter of dishes from the cafe, normal, mundane, until I reached the reception desk. My hand went into my pocket, and I placed the envelope right on top of the counter where anyone could see it. I made sure the note was facing outward, so anyone passing by would get the full effect. Then I turned and headed for the exit, my heart pounding with a mixture of satisfaction and raw anger. Outside, the wind was biting, sharp enough to sting my cheeks. I felt like I was finally breathing again, even if the ache in my chest remained. I'd done what I set out to do. The evidence was out there now, that note, the messages, the photos, all of her lies laid bare. No more hiding, no more pretending. The truth was out and she couldn't undo it. I drove away from the hotel, the engine humming beneath me. I kept my eyes on the road but could still feel the weight of everything I'd uncovered. My mind kept replaying her tears, her pleas, her broken voice. But I knew better now. The woman I'd loved, the woman I married, was gone. Replaced by someone else entirely, someone who'd lied and cheated and shattered everything we had. I didn't look back. I refused to. Instead, I focused on the road ahead, on the new path I had to create without her. I started thinking about the next steps, how to file for divorce, how to make sure she couldn't manipulate me anymore. But for now, that was all in the future. Right now, I was simply relieved that I'd taken control. Back at my apartment, I sat down on the couch, feeling the cool leather beneath my fingertips. I took out the envelope and stared at it, thinking about how I'd finally let her go. No more lies, no more games, just a clean break. I picked up my phone and dialed the lawyer's number. It was time to get the ball rolling. No more waiting, no more second guessing. I'd end this chapter and start fresh, even if it meant rebuilding from the ashes. As I hung up, I looked around my apartment, the quiet, empty space that now felt like a sanctuary. I'd learned something important in all this chaos. Sometimes you have to destroy everything to find yourself again. And that's exactly what I was going to do. The only thing left was to hand over the keys and officially cut her out of my life. I grabbed the stack of papers I'd prepared, signed them, and put them in an envelope. I was ready to let go of the past, to finally move on. With a firm grip, I placed the envelope on the front porch along with the keys. It was a symbolic gesture, an end, a new beginning. I knocked once, then turned away. As I walked toward my car, I knew this wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming myself, about proving to her and to anyone who ever doubted that I was the one who held the power, that I was done being used, lied to, manipulated. And as I drove off into the sunset, I felt a quiet, burning sense of relief. The betrayal had cut deep, but I was stronger now, ready to rebuild, ready to move on. And never again would I let someone destroy what I fought so hard to protect. The days that followed were a blur of legal paperwork, sorting through my feelings and trying to piece my life back together. I stayed busy, filling out divorce papers, making calls, and setting boundaries I should have enforced a long time ago. The truth about her betrayal hit me hard, but oddly enough, it also cleared away some of the fog I'd been living in. That's what revenge does. It forces you to see things clearly. I'd handed over the keys, left the note in plain sight, and cut her out of my life. Still, I couldn't help but wonder how she'd react once she saw it all. Would she deny everything? Get angry? Try to manipulate the situation? I didn't care anymore. All I knew was that I'd done what I needed to do to reclaim my dignity. One afternoon, I was sitting at my desk when I saw her name pop up on my phone. My stomach clenched. I didn't pick up. Instead, I let it ring out. No way was I about to get pulled back into that mess. The voicemail she left was as predictable as it was infuriating, pleading, crying, begging for a chance to explain. Typical. I pressed delete, then stared at the screen. That's when I realized something. She wasn't going to give up that easily. She was probably already scheming, trying to find a way to worm herself back into my life. But I'd learned my lesson. I wasn't going to fall for her tricks again. Instead of dwelling on her bullshit, I decided to focus on myself. I started going out more, reconnecting with friends, even taking up that hobby I'd always pushed aside, painting. It wasn't about trying to forget her. It was about reclaiming my peace, rebuilding what she'd tried to destroy. But no matter how much I tried to move on, I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd try something else. I'd heard whispers of her trying to contact mutual friends, spinning stories about how I'd wronged her, how she was the victim. That made my blood boil. I knew her. I knew her manipulative tactics. She'd spin this like she was the innocent one and I was the villain. One night I decided I'd had enough of her games. I sat down and drafted a message, short, clear, and to the point. I was done explaining, defending, or even replying. I was tired of her spinning lies and wasting my energy. I typed, "Stay away. I'm not interested in hearing your lies or your excuses. You crossed the line and I've moved on. Don't contact me again." I read it over a few times, then hit send. It felt good, like I was finally taking control. That was the moment I knew I'd closed that chapter for good. I'd made my decision and I wasn't looking back. The truth was, I had no illusions anymore. The woman I married was gone. Now I was rebuilding from scratch, learning how to trust myself again. And I knew deep down that I'd be okay. I'd survived the betrayal, the lies, the deception, and I'd come out stronger. One thing I learned from all this: revenge isn't just about paying someone back. It's about owning your story, reclaiming your power, and forcing the other person to face their consequences. No more heartbreak, no more games, just a clear path forward. So I moved forward one step at a time, knowing I was finally free. And that's what really matters, being able to stand tall, even after someone tried to break you. Because in the end, the only person who truly controls your future is you. And I was ready to take it back. It's been a few weeks since I handed over the keys and officially cut her out of my life. Honestly, I feel lighter, like I've shed a heavy coat I didn't even realize I was wearing. The house is quiet now, peaceful even. No more secrets, no more lying. Just the sound of my own breathing, the hum of the city outside, and a sense that I'm finally moving in the right direction. Every day feels different. Some mornings I wake up with a dull ache in my chest, a lingering scar from everything she did. But more often than not, I wake up with a strange sense of relief. I don't have to wonder what she's hiding anymore. I don't have to second-guess every glance, every message, every word. I've reclaimed my peace, piece by piece. Looking back, I realize how much I underestimated my own strength. I thought I was weak for staying so long, for trusting her after the first red flags. But now I see that I was just human, flawed, hopeful, trying to believe in the best in someone. The betrayal shattered that hope, but it also forced me to face the truth. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. Not lies, deception, and a partner who's willing to throw everything away for a fleeting affair. The biggest lesson I learned is that revenge isn't about revenge at all. It's about taking control of your life when someone else tries to take it away. It's about standing tall even when everything around you is falling apart. I didn't need to destroy her or hurt her. She already did enough damage. What I needed was to reclaim my dignity, to prove to myself that I was still here, still standing. Every time I think about her, I feel a strange mixture of anger and indifference. The anger for what she did, and the indifference because I realize I no longer need her validation or her lies. I'm enough on my own. I've found peace in my solitude, strength in my independence. For anyone reading this who's going through something similar, know that it's okay to feel broken, to feel betrayed. But also know that you have the power to heal, to rebuild, and to move on. The pain might never completely go away, but it becomes manageable. Time doesn't heal all wounds, but it teaches you how to live with them. I want to leave you with this. No matter how deep the betrayal, no matter how shattered your trust, you can come out the other side victorious. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply walking away with your head held high. That's what I did, and I've never felt stronger. Today, I start fresh. I've already signed the papers, handed over the last of her things, and closed that chapter forever. I finally feel like I can breathe again, like I can finally believe in myself. And that, I think, is the real victory.